Hello and welcome to the movie podcast spoiler review of The Bear Season 3. My name is Daniel. I am one of your chefs today. And joining alongside me in the kitchen of the movie podcast is Chef Shahbaz. Hello, Shahbaz.
Yes, Chef.
Thank you very much. And Chef Anthony.
Good evening, Chef.
Thank you very much. There's such a nice rapport here. I think that we have. There's such
Fuck
a
you.
nice. Oh no!
You know what? Take that back. Actually, fuck you.
You're right.
Go fuck
You're
yourself.
Right. Yeah, like listen, we are recording this episode later in the night. We've been, powering through the 10 episodes of The Bear. I want to say a huge thank you to our friends at Disney Canada for providing us with the episodes. We are so excited to be talking about it. It's one of our favorite shows. And again, this is the movie podcast. You could catch brand new episodes all throughout the week. You could follow us on socials. Check out our show notes for all the links you need to know and more. We're doing a bit of a short intro because I feel like we'd be rambling on a little bit. Not rambling. We'd be, providing some banter. We'd be giving you some appetizers, but we want to get to the main course because there is so much to talk about. The Bear Season 3. It is finally here. All 10 episodes are streaming now on Disney Plus here in Canada and on Hulu if you are in the United States. Let's just jump on in to the main course. And forewarning, again, if you have not watched The Bear Season 3, stop watching this review right now and go finish it before you come back, because we're about to spoil everything that happens this season, give you our thoughts, give us our interpretation of things, and just gush a lot about how much we love this damn show. Anthony, please start us off with our first entree. Give us your first reaction to The Bear Season 3.
When there are shows that come out that are going to change the way you watch TV, like The Sopranos or The Last of Us or Succession, those
Breaking Bad,
those shows have such an aura around them, and it gives you goosebumps when you watch it. And The Bear, from season 1 to season 3, is that show. It is consistently great, and I feel like if The Bear was looked at as dishes, this is the perfect dish. This is the dish that they reduced and subtracted, and this is the season they got, because season 2 was always, I felt that season was the panic season, pandemonium. The mom driving the car through the house, Carmy getting locked in the fridge on his first day at the restaurant opening. It is just a lot of agita, as we say in Italian. There's a lot of panic, and this season is so precise and cut down, and you could tell the episode lengths, they're all perfectly sliced, and
no fats.
There is no fat
on those episodes. No,
and there's not the panic that you normally get from The Bear. I feel like this is the season that has the less panic, but there are bigger stakes at hand, and you see it in everyone's story. And I think the first episode of these flashbacks, or this time lapse of Carmy, and how he kind of transitioned to all these different restaurants, the things that you didn't see in season 1 and season 2, you now understand where he came from. And the way it was shot, like I said to you guys, man, this feels like a Terrence Malick film. It's just, they had the aura music behind it. They had real footage of him learning how to cook, and this jumping back and forth with his brother dying, with the mom. There's such a great episode to start off season 3. And the beauty of The Bear, and I don't think this is talked a lot about, is the third and biggest character of this show is the editing. I think the editing is probably some of the best editing that I've ever seen on a TV series. You got the food, which is the first, you got Carmy, which is that panic, and then you have the editing and tying all those things together. Holy shit. What a fucking course, dude. I said to Daniel, like, man, this I'm not sure if I said to Daniel or Jay. I said the writing is like The Sopranos. It's just, it feels real. It feels like you are learning shit from them, and you feel like this is something I would do if I was in a situation like that, and this is how I would act. I would be awkward or cringy at certain moments, or I would have these panic-induced moments, and that's the beauty of this show. It just shows real drama. It's like they took the realness of the real world and the drama, and they never fluff it up. It just, if this is how our world works in a sense.
There's nothing about the bear that feels not authentic. Every single moment of this show feels like I am a fly on the wall of what is happening in somebody's life. It feels so real. Every conversation, every character, every dish, every scene, every cuts feels intentional and so well thought out. The Bear is one of the greatest shows ever made, and it just blows me away of how incredible every episode is, and how every episode feels like every episode in season 3 feels like I finished episode 1. I think that's my favorite episode of this series. Finished episode 2. I think that was my favorite episode of this series. Like, they just continue to outdo themselves. And I know you're probably listening or watching this right now saying, "Oh, these guys are gassing it up too much. They're hyping it up too much. It's overhyped." For us, it's not. For me, it's not. I'm speaking for myself. Like, this is a show that is just so well done. It is so incredible. And there's so much more that I want to say, but Shay, I'd love for you to jump on in. Give us your thoughts overall on The Bear season 3, and how you're processing right now.
I was talking to Anthony about the show, and I think I said to him, without any disrespect at all, I said, these do not feel like actors. I feel like these are just real people. Yeah. I don't see Jeremy Allen White. I don't see Ayo. I don't see Buon. I just see these people, these characters, and hard to even call them characters because you said this, Daniel, they're authentic, they're genuine. This is all real. I feel like I am seeing so much of myself, so much of people that I know in this world kind of just being displayed out in front of me. I have, in my high school year, worked in a restaurant environment, not even remotely close to this, literally not even remotely close to this. And
tell the people, Shahbaz, tell the people where.
I worked at a Pizza Hut, so definitely not as, I mean, it was
though?
Nuts. Yeah, they were like, get those fucking pepperonis on the screen right now. Like, oh my God. Faster. I can't. I'm like 15 years old, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like 30 pepperonis.
Maybe we reached as far as you could go with your talent, Shay. Maybe this is it.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, I tapped out. I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to get into movies, okay? I'm going to do that instead. But you look at the world that they've created, and it's so enriching. You're so into it. I look back to season 2 that, absolutely loved. I think season 1 is fantastic. It's such a great first season, but season 2 dials it up. You look at, I think the best episode of any show in the world is Forks. I think you look at that episode and nothing comes close to that. Like, that is one of the best episodes ever. And then season 3 comes along and it gives us just a bunch of different Forks episodes that you're like, oh my God, I wasn't ready for this. You look at the episode that Ayo's directed, Napkins. It was so, like, it broke me, but in the best way. A lot of times shows like this, they weigh too heavily and you're like, oh, I can't get through it. But this is a show that's, I'm using air quotes here, heavy, but I still kept hitting next episode as I'm watching it because I was so invested. I wanted to know what happens next. Even though it's not always so linear, I still needed to know, like, what's the next story? What do you have to tell us? And I was so sad when it started to end because I'm in love with it. I'm in love with these characters. I love every single person in this show. There isn't a single character that I'm like, they kind of suck. No, the people that don't get that much time to shine, the moments that they are in this show are phenomenal. And this season brings the guest appearances like no other. There's so many amazing people that show up. I remember when Josh Hartnett showed up, I'm like, this motherfucker right here, he's coming back now, eh? He's coming back
with the kitchen language today, eh? Like we talking, we're
this motherfucker.
We're speaking faster, but I feel it's because every second counts.
Yeah, behind you, chef. Okay, relax. All right.
Behind you, doors.
Doors.
It's Shay, cameos galore. But again, it's never gratuitous, and it never feels like, oh, hold on,
they're not
why
even
is
like
John Cena
cameos,
here?
really.
No, they're characters.
They're essential characters.
Like John Cena shows up for an episode, and he plays one of the family members. And again, him with Maddie Matheson and oh my god, I'm blanking on the name of the other guy. But like they are just again
Ricky?
Ricky.
Ricky Theodore is his name, but Ricky Stefferi.
The best vignettes, by the way. Whenever we would cut to them, I'm like, oh, keep it on them. I love them.
They're hilarious. And then you introduce John Cena into the mix, and he's just John Cena. He's like just down for everything, and they're scared that like he's gonna haunt them. And like we've been saying haunt so much this week because like whenever like something bad is happening, we're like, oh, we're being haunted. But it's like it's just so fun. But again, like Shay was saying, these cameos aren't out of left field. They are actors that surprise us, but they are playing characters that fit and are integral to the story that's being told, as are all the characters in the show, as our every episode feels intentional. And when you're looking at telling a story over 10 episodes where this season begins and where it ends isn't very different. We're not jumping over a long period of time. I feel like season 2 did a lot more of a time lapse where we saw, they're preparing the restaurant and building that out and figuring this out, and there's more time going by. The biggest things that are happening this season of The Bear is Carmy obviously dealing with his shit. It's developing the characters and what's going on with them. But the two big pivotal moments that happen, the three big pivotal moments that really happen this season are, Olivia Colman's restaurant is shutting down, and it's kind of a lead up to that. We're waiting to see what the first review is of the Bear restaurant, because Uncle said that, if it's bad, we're dipping, we're pulling our money out, so we gotta back out. And it's Sugar, having her baby. But it's like those are like, I would say, like the big three moments that happened this season, and you're like, that feels like it all happened in one episode. No, it feels like it happens in life. It feels natural as we're flowing in and out of this, learning more about what's going on within this world. Just I'm so in love with this show. And I hate that we have to wait now for more of it.
It's crazy that this season, in terms of writing, it's gonna win the awards. You can see it, you can hear it.
Oh yeah, it's gonna clean up again.
My gosh, this is gonna be one of their best seasons. It probably is the best season, and I'm looking forward to season 4. But for me, Richie has grown up so much to the point of where we saw him just profanity, smoking in the kitchen, all that, to what he is now, and just this what's the word when you're a soldier and you're regimental. He's so regimental. He has to have the pens, the napkin has to be this, and
he believes in it now, right?
So
he believes in that.
But
he is bought in,
and you buy it. You buy his progression. You buy his struggles and where he was in his life and where he is now with his wife, and Josh Hartnett being his ex-wife's new husband or future husband, and how they're getting you feel for him, but I see the hope in him. And I think that was I never understood the relationship. What does Carmy see in Richie? He's just a piece of shit, right? He's just that guy who worked in the restaurant for all his life, and he wasn't going to amount to nothing. And fuck, was I wrong? He's the guy that we all want to be. We want to get to that we want to be that ambitious and get to that point.
How do they do that? How do they do that? Because Richie went from that character that I'm like, I hate him. He's such an asshole in the first season, and he turned into one of my favorite characters in this damn show. And I love that in Io's episode.
Forks, baby.
I was gonna say in Forks, and now going to Napkins. In Io Adebri's, when she directed Napkins, again, beautiful episode, again, a highlight banner episode this season that I feel like she's going to get the guest director nomination and all that. That episode is a bottle episode. It's about Tina trying, we're going back in time. We're seeing that, her rent goes up, and she's worried about, how are we going to, pay for, our house? And then she finds out that she gets let go as well. and her husband, who's actually played by her real life husband. That's her real life husband who plays her.
Angel from
Yeah,
Dexter.
Angel.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's her. They're married in real life. So I'm like, oh,
That's
that's nice
amazing.
that they
That's so
brought them on
sweet.
together. He's waiting on a promotion that's never going to come. So she just has to go out and find jobs. And it gave me a little bit of anxiety because I think we've all been there when we're applying for jobs, seeing what the job market is like now. And again, we're younger. She's, in this episode, she's 46. She's trying to start over in her life and find a job. And it's such a heartbreaking episode. And it's one of those episodes it's hard to go back and watch, but you do it. And I watched this episode twice now because of how well it's directed, how incredible the story is. And I think, she just gives an incredible performance. Lisa Colin Zayas, who plays Tina.
Zayas?
Yeah, she's incredible. And she's another one that when the series started, I'm like, I don't know how much I like her. She always feels so rigid and
Well, she was
and
bitchy,
then now-
right? Like but I think that was
Yeah.
that's the Latino thing, the Latina thing. Like she's hard, right? Like she has that
Yeah, she's
family. She
hard.
grew up
She's-
hard.
She's from the Bronx, right? Like
Yeah.
she's tough.
I'm from Chicago. Like this is where I'm from. Like I'm trying
Not,
to
not
I'm
Jennifer
trying to
Lopez,
provide-
right?
I
Like
just-
she's not Jennifer
no.
Lopez. She's not pretending
No,
to
no,
be
no.
from. Right?
Yeah, but she just at the end of the day, and she even says, she's like, I don't care about feeling fulfilled. I just want to be able to feed my kid. And again, the show just gives you a big fuck you in the best way possible. When she's at her lowest, her train is delayed, she goes to the original bear, or is like the beef of Chicagoland, to get a sandwich. Richie's there, and we get a taste of old Richie, which is a nice little throwback because we get to see how he used to be.
The fighting on the ground and
yeah.
like this is
Fighting on the
same
ground.
guy.
This is the same guy, and then we get
He has no empathy.
he has no empathy, and then we get again someone who just pops up in this show and steals everything. It's John Bernthal, and John Bernthal's there, and they have literally a sit-down discussion for 10 minutes just about life, what she's going through, what he's going through, and the way he.
It felt so real.
It's dude, I'm getting chills thinking about it. I legit have goosebumps right now.
But John
Because
Bernthal
it's
does
like
that so
I
well.
forgot that we were watching a show.
John Bernthal
Yes.
is so disarming. As somebody who, I first was introduced to John Bernthal as Shane on The Walking Dead, who was the most intense person ever. And seeing what he has done, seeing what he's become with his career, again, he's the secret sauce whenever he's in. And, that moment where he offers her a position.
He is the sauce.
Like he's like, listen, there's days where I hate it, and you go home, you smell, but then there's days that are amazing, and you love it, and it's the people, and it's like, it just you get lost for words, and it's such an incredible episode. I love that episode so much. Is there any other episodes this season that really stand out to you guys that you'd like to talk about, or if you want to talk about Napkins more, I'm all game.
I think for
I think
for me, sugar's giving birth, and the relationship between her and her mother is one of it's heartbreaking because you see what happened in the last episode of in season 2, and Donna couldn't go into this kitchen, this new restaurant, because she didn't want to ruin it. She just loves her kids, but she's not the greatest mom to them. And you see it all pour out, and it's all happening while Sugar is giving birth. She's like, why now? Why is this the time? But she had to call someone, right? She had no one was answering, so I call mom, and there she is. But the focal point for that episode is they really focus on a close up, like just forehead to chin, and when you have shots like that, and you have really good performances by both actresses, there is this level of intensity that happens that just kind of builds up, and it comes pouring out, and you see it in Jamie Lee Curtis's face, and you see the heartbreak in her, and how she fucked up, right? And then how her daughter continuously always looked out for her, but this is the time I need to look out for myself.
That moment where she calls, when she's just like, call mom, I'm just like, oh fuck, like that's how, again, that's always,
you feel defeat.
It's funny though, because I feel like, and it's not a bad thing, but in so many TV shows, whenever you see someone who's pregnant, you're like, this woman is going to go into labor at the worst possible moment ever. It's like that is like, if you're pregnant in a TV show, like, you know that's going to happen. You know it's going to happen. Luckily, she didn't give like birth in a parking lot or in the Kitchen Depot store or anything like that. But it's like, you just know that something's is going to happen when a character's pregnant. It's always funny to see that.
I really loved, I think it was episode 3, where they're kind of showing a lot more of that whole month that they kind of go through of just consistent, like, you know, Groundhog Day of like every day they're just kind of going through it, and you're just seeing like, you know, Carmy panicking and Richie kind of coming in every couple minutes and changing things
and
up.
Doors
and
being yelled every few minutes. Yeah.
Changing the menu every single day.
Changing the menu every day. And of course, the episode prior to that, where you're introduced to these non-negotiables, and it's just this really funny conversation between Richie and Carmy. And I love when Marcus kind of comes in. He's like, "No, I get it. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I get what you're trying to do here." So again, it's hard to pick. I think this season has so many phenomenal episodes with phenomenal guest stars that come in that add a lot more to the show than just a familiar face. It's astounding to see what we've done with this
I want to talk
series.
about Marcus, because I think he's had huge amounts of growth from where he was and where he is now. Losing his mom, dealing with that, dealing with just the only person in your life that you really cared about, and now they're gone. So how do I overcome that? How do I continue to push myself? And even pushing what he does, like just the desserts and the ending. I think it was the last episode. I feel it's the last episode where it starts off with Martin Scorsese talking about films and has all this old footage.
The magic trick.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he's trying, and he's inspired by that. And I think I can't wait for his character to just explode, because he's on that verge of exploding and having
He's flourishing, right?
Yeah, like flourishing. And having the successes and not exploding, not just blowing up. But like you can just see his character there's a struggle, but the struggle is real, and it will get him to where he needs to go. That adversity will push him to where he needs to go. As well as Joel McHale.
Yeah, let's talk. We're going to talk about Joel McHale in just a second, because I did want to talk about Marcus really quickly. You mentioned, because we have that little bit of a scare when obviously Uncle's trying to save money, as you guys were saying. Like, we were trying to find out like how can we save that. Computer's trying to cut things where we can. We get the incredible line of like, why did you spend this much money on these? Like, is this like on these goats? Is it like a 6-titted goat from Transylvania? A+ line delivery, incredible. But we get that little bit of a scare where Computer goes to Sugar and he's like, do we need a pastry chef? Like, why do we need a pastry chef? And Sugar's just like, if you touch Marcus, I will fucking kill you. Incredible. And I've been honestly like, I was so worried the rest of the season though, because I'm like, is someone going to get fired? Like, are they going to go down this route? Maybe they do, based on where this episode is going to end. But to jump back in where you were saying to where you mentioned Joel McHale. Anthony plays a huge asshole of a chef on this show.
He is
awful.
The Whiplash. And you respect
he's the J.K. Simmons.
You respect it because Carmy doesn't understand. He's like, but you gave me ulcers and you made me feel this way.
Nightmares and
he's
ulcers.
Like, I did that because what I did that to make you an excellent chef. That's why you are where you are now.
Yeah.
Do we need to go to that limit to be great? I don't know.
Do we need to be put through hell?
I don't know.
I wanted to ask you guys that
too. But it's like an eye opener for Carmy, because he's like, he kind of chuckles and he laughs and he cries and he's like,
yeah,
I don't know if I could be mad at you anymore. Like, it's just, it's
he's
like
I don't even know what to say, right? Because like Joel McHale is this character that he does not give a fuck. Like, he does not care at all. This guy's just like what do you talk? Like, when Carmy confronts him in that last episode, like he's at the funeral dinner and like, he keeps eyeing him, and Joel McHale has like this beard and he's just kind of nods to him. And as soon as he gets up to the washroom, Carmy goes up to him and he's like, hey man, he's like, I've been like waiting to talk to you and like say this. And Joel McHale's like, say it. And it reminded me a lot of the line from Mad Men, because he's like, I think about you all the time. And Joel McHale is like, really? I don't. Like, I don't think about you at all. And like, just like you said, he's like, yeah, like you give me ulcers, you gave me nightmares. And Joel McHale's like, yeah, but I also gave you the skills to be a great chef. Like when you came to me, you were okay. Now you're amazing. And it's just like what you're saying, Anthony. It's like, and it very much is like Whiplash, where it's like, to become great, do you need to be put through hell? Is Joel McHale's character right? Because there's literally scenes in the show where it'll cut back to him and Carmy's working on a dish and Joel McHale will just walk by and do a drive-by, fuck you. But it's not like joking, like we'll say it to each other. It's like scathing and it cuts deep. Shay, what do you think? Like, do you think to become like memorable forever and to achieve that greatness, we need to be like put through hell like that?
This is it's such an interesting question, Daniel, that you pose here, because you look to our parents and you look to our grandparents, and I think that is the method that, like, my grandfather, he was very military driven, very strict, and he was intense about a lot of things growing up. You know, it was almost a no nonsense kind of policy. Really fun guy. I love him. He's such a joker. But when it came to work, when it came to all these things, he was by the books. And it's such a deeper conversation because we now kind of live in a world where a lot of this intensity is frowned upon.
You can't do that now, right?
I get it. You know, people deal with anxiety, and it's created anxiety, and it's such a deeper conversation. But you know what? Like, and I might get a lot of flack for this. I think you need it. I think you need that intensity. I think you need that really intense, heartbreaking, and just, it's almost like a test. It's like not everyone can do something, right? Not everyone can get through this, and not everyone can be the best. The people that persevere through it, they tend to be the best at what they do. And it's a shitty way, and it's awful sometimes, and maybe it leads to a shorter life.
It's a very much shorter life.
But you kind of leave a legacy, I think, in a way. And I debate this a lot in my head, you know, because when I look at myself one day being a parent, am I going to be intense or am I going to be loving?
But like, I don't
know what I'm going to be, but I think I'll always be loving. And I think there is love to it. I just think that it's also just, it's kind of what you need. Like, you want to get to this point of being a master chef. You want to get to this point of being the world's greatest director, whatever it is. It's going to be blood, sweat, and tears. It's not going to be, okay, you didn't wake up today. Oh, you didn't do this today. You're going to go through hell, and to get through hell is when you're going to get to the side.
It definitely is. It's that constant reminder of where you are and where you can go. And, you know, as much as you hate Joel for it and his character, you understand for Carmy and where he is now, I don't think he would have been able to succeed, because it just makes you stronger, but it also hurts you in other ways, right? Like, he has anxiety.
Yeah, it fucks you up in different ways.
Girlfriend because he can't, because he messes up all these things. He blames everything else, and it fucks you up as a individual. But hey, man, you made this great dish, and I kept thinking to myself, if there's a chef listening to this and this is what they go through, when you make my food, take all the time you want. Don't ever stress out. I just want you to not have that life. Time, man.
It's all good, baby.
I just felt that. I'm like, oh, fuck, all these guys, they're trying to get it on time, and they gotta like punish themselves to get this food out. I'm like, dude, take your time.
I'll never complain at a restaurant now. Like, I never want to complain at a restaurant now, because I mean, like, maybe they have a Carmy or a Sid back there who's like driving them. You know,
I never do.
You know,
they can spit in your food. If someone handling my food, I don't mess.
Just like I'll never even be upset.
Daniel's a serial complainer at restaurants. He goes there, he's like, I have never ordered from here.
Yeah,
I've never ordered from here, but I hate you all.
I'm Joel McHale to them, but I'm on the review side. I love that we find out too that Carmy also plated the best meal that Sid ever had. Like that meal that which she's talking about being at, like the restaurant that Carmy was at all the way back in the first season. She's talking about that was the best meal that she's ever had. And we see the behind the scenes of that moment. And he's actually the one who plated it for her.
Dude, it was at your restaurant.
Emotional.
It was at your
Yeah, it's at
restaurant.
Daniel's restaurant.
Daniel's
Yeah.
restaurant.
It's just nice. I'm like, oh, what a sweet moment that we got to see that. And that whole picture of Carmy making that food that looks like the flour, and how that image keeps being brought up throughout the season. And again, in that episode Napkins, we see John Bernthal get it, and he's like, look what my brother made. Look what my brother made. And it's just like,
I kept thinking,
fuck,
man, this,
like
this
it makes me so emotional thinking about
Christopher
it. It's so
Nolan
beautiful.
stuff, man. Like this is like some
Yeah.
Oppenheimer, like Inception. Like they're planting things in the first episode that you're gonna see in the last and throughout the episodes, and it's all gonna make sense. And that's why I think the editing is so well done, because it's just like when you have a show like this, we're talking about how many cast members? Like 10 cast members. Within
A big cast.
30 minutes, I know everything that's happening in everyone's life. Like,
Yeah.
you have to have great
And you
writing,
remember.
great editing, and you get it.
You get it.
I couldn't get that with any other show, man. Like, that's how good. That's why this show is so special. Ugh.
I said this to you, I said this to you, Anthony. I said this to you, Daniel, as well. And this is no disrespect to anybody else out here, but this show feels like it's written by actual people, like pen to paper written. It doesn't feel like there was any computer involved at all. And it would just kind of told, hey, here's a situation, here's a script, pull from your life and give me what you got. Because it feels that authentic. Like this is not something you're going to find on any random streaming service. This isn't the flavor of the week. This is a classic show. This is a show that will remain and be talked about for years to come. Like all the shows you guys mentioned at the beginning, this is a show that will forever be ingrained and will forever be a staple in your house.
So really quickly, before we wrap up this conversation, as the season ends, we are, Carmy gets his Google notification alert. Do you guys ever use Google notification alerts, by the way? Because we see that
movies use them a lot.
Like I'm thinking,
Knives Out used it,
where it's like, oh, like your Google. I never even thought to. We should do it for the movie podcast so we can know what people are saying about us. Oh, there's a Google result thing happening where we got the review comes in from what we're anticipating and the amount of phone calls we get from Uncle. It looks to be like it's not going to be a good review. Maybe. But we get hit with the to be continued. What would you guys say? Are we leaning towards a bad review, or are we leaning towards it being a good review and they're trying to psych us out a little bit? Anthony, you start us off.
Fuck the review. Fuck me.
Yeah.
Fuck me. Because
like
anyone who does, no, man, like, who cares? You make the food that you love, and that's where you're going to get that celebration and you're going to make people happy. And as much as that review.
But do you think it's negative or positive?
Well, you see a lot of words, right? Like you see a lot of confusing, memorable, this and that. Based on his reaction, you think it's not a good one. But again, he's skimming through it, and we really...
Yeah,
a lot of those newspapers are so nuanced, and their word, the vocabulary is so big, so it could look like it's a bad review.
Yeah,
but knowing this world and putting Carmen through the punishment is a bad review.
Shahbaz, how about you?
I'm gonna go on the positive side here. I'm gonna say it's a good review, and you know what? If it is a bad review, we'll take it, and we'll do what we can with it. We'll work with the right people that we need to. But I'm really hoping it's a good review. I would 100%. Eat at the Bear.
That was the question I wanted to ask you guys, because the food that is served at the Bear is very couture. It's very small, and I've
never been to a Michelin star restaurant, like personally.
I've never eaten food where it's like a little place this and that. It's more of about the experience.
Yeah, this you have to look at it for 12 minutes before you can actually eat it. Oh, okay.
That you guys is that something you would do, or would you experience, or is it always like the soul food or the food that you love?
I googled. I searched up what Michelin star restaurants are within the Toronto area, and there's a bunch that popped up. And not that I'm like rushing out to go to them, but I kind of do want to do some research, because I want to experience this at least once in my life. I've been to some very interesting restaurants. I think back to a restaurant I went to in Toronto called Au Noir, which is all in the dark, and it's the chef, or not the chefs, but at least the waiters and the servers are all blind. So you're getting this really unique experience kind of being in there. And I remember I had a great time eating there. The way you kind of have these Michelin star restaurants, they're very similar. There's some like theatricality involved in just the food itself. It's not just the dinner; it's dinner and a show. While the show may not be something that's live happening in front of you, it is part of the experience. And I would love to definitely try it out.
I feel like I mean, I just want to eat at the beef as well, right? I mean, I like that they kept that going as well too. Like those sandwiches look incredible. I would love to to go there and to try it out as well. I mean, why not? Because I mean, it'd be cool. I mean, if they ever do like a bear pop-up, I think that'd be so smart and so fun. Hopefully all the chefs would have a better time working there. But it's funny though. It's so interesting for a show that is so stressful to watch sometimes, of how much of a comfort it is watching it too. It's a very interesting dynamic. And I think especially seeing, the arc of Richie, and he has a great moment where he's like, we have to do surprises, and he's like, Feliz Cumpleaños, and he's like singing happy birthday in Spanish. There's a great shot, I think it's in episode 8 and 9, where you see Carmy in the kitchen, and then you see cousin, or you see Richie on the dinner side, and they're just literally split down the middle. It's a beautiful shot in this show. But oh god, we've been gushing about it for almost 40 minutes.
It's amazing that they don't mend the relationship even at the end of this. Like they're still going. They're still broken, and there was never ever Carmy sends the voicemail to him, but he said some really bad stuff to him. Yeah, and he took it to heart. And throughout this whole season, they don't really talk to each other. They just
no,
and that's sad. Like you just feel.
Yeah,
they just
Sid
yell
and
at
Richie
each other
too. But at least Sid and Richie, like, they have a nice relationship now, or at least a nicer, where she's just kind of there to support him. So I feel like she's kind of become that. And then I love the scene, with them partying as well too in her apartment. It's a lot of fun. But it's interesting seeing, you're right, Anthony. There's not really like we're just kind of moving on. We're not dwelling on it. So I'm really curious to see where that's going to go moving forward. Let's give some final thoughts on season 3 of The Bear. Shahbaz, I'd love for you to start us off.
If you're watching this show, you're absolutely gonna love it. It's fantastic. It's kind of like you said, Daniel. It's comforting to watch. It's still very intense, and it's still very heavy at certain points. But there's a comfort when you're watching it. And if you the other day, I've been trying to get my wife to watch the show, and she finds the first episode too stressful from season 1. So I just told her, go watch season 2, episode 7, Forks. You don't really have to have seen the rest of the show. Watch that episode and tell me how you feel about the show differently after that. She watched that and she's like, okay, I want to watch the show from the beginning now. She loved it. She absolutely fell in love with it. And I think if you're somebody who's still unsure about what to do with The Bear, go watch the Forks episode, because I think it really puts a lot of perspective into what these characters are, and it really humanizes them in a way that you probably haven't seen in the show before. And then you're going to have a great time watching their entire series.
I mean, like we said at the top of this review and reaction, and this is one of the greatest shows ever made. I'm so in love with it. I cannot wait for season 4. And we should open up we probably will open up a room on Discord as well too. So let's keep the conversation going with it, because there's just so much to talk about. Anthony, how about you? Final thoughts on The Bear season 3?
It's a must watch it. Like bucket list. Like, you're about to kick the bucket, you better watch all seasons of The Bear. That's all I can say.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Of course, this is the movie podcast. You can get your brand new episodes all throughout the week with new movie reviews, discussions, and reactions to the latest movies and series. The Bear season 3 is now streaming on Disney Plus in Canada, on Hulu in the United States. And I would say thank you to our friends at Disney Canada for inviting us to watch these episodes. Lots more of the movie podcast to come your way. And we're just, we're in the summer movie season, so there's lots to talk about. But until then, that was This Time with the Movie Podcast, and we'll see you next.